Well, actually, I think this would be a good place to talk about our ghost pictures. Bishop's Waltham Palace. A lot of people say they have seen ghosts around here. Pretty ancient.
I mean, ghost photography or spirit photography?
Yeah, spirit photography, ghost pictures, real ghost photographs, you know, all that type of thing. So, yeah, so this is Bishop's Waltham Palace in Hampshire. It's not that far from where I live. And there's a sign that tells us about it. Welcome to Bishop's Waltham Palace. Oh, look, a bit about it. The bishops lived like great lords and entertained royalty here and in other grand palaces. The palace buildings begun in the 12th century were developed and extended on several occasions to become one of the largest residents in the south of England. And there's a whole village here. I see a whole medieval village around. The palace fell into ruin after the Civil War in the 17th century and was placed in state guardianship in 1952. Let's have a look. So these people that come out, ghost hunters and so on, there's places like this they come to get their ghost pictures, isn't it? Where they get their ghost spirit photography. Oh, wow, that's interesting, isn't it? It's places like this that they come to get to do their ghost hunts and things, because obviously old ancient places get the spirits of the past. I often wonder if the people that what people pick up are actually the vibrations of earlier times, you know. There's a theory that ghosts are actually like vibrations from the past, like they call it the stone video or something they used to call it. It's like the idea that we can pick up, like psychometry, we can pick up the vibrations of the past. And places like this, so maybe people that are clairvoyant like myself and other people sort of, that's what we see. And maybe a camera could pick those vibrations up, who knows? And people like Edison used to believe that you could use a mechanical device to pick up spirits. He wanted to create the spirit telephone. So do you know, I mean, you've done photography for years and years and years. What do you know about ghost photography, as they call it?
Well, that's an interesting type of photography. Ghost photography was born at the end of the 1800s.
Yeah.
And it was made by mistake, actually. Originally, the photographer...
Mumler. Yeah.
Took a picture with his camera, and when he went to check the picture after it, he found that there was an image of a person next to the original subject, and he thought at the beginning there was a ghost or something weird was going on, but then he realized there was just a double exposure.
Yeah.
Things went on, and he kept having this double exposure pictures.
So people wouldn't know what a double exposure. Not everybody would know what that is, would they? I mean, we can if we take a photograph twice on the same piece of photographic film.
Yep.
That will create a sort of ghostly image, won't it?
That would create a double exposure.
And in those days, they used to have two plates they used to put on top of each other too. That would have also created. They put two plates to make the
they used
paper, I think.
Plates at the time. The cameras didn't have film; they had plates.
Yeah.
So they used to put two plates on top of each other and take the picture.
Yeah.
So had the original plate with an image of a person.
Yeah.
And then a picture at the front that was taken.
Yeah. So Mumler discovered this completely by accident.
It was a complete accident. He thought that it was more of a weird thing to happen.
Yeah.
And he discovered
so this had been right at the very beginning, wasn't it? 1860s.
It was
I
at
understand.
the end of the 1800s.
Yeah.
So we're talking about almost 300.
Yeah.
300 years ago.
I mean, people in those days, we take it for granted that photography is everywhere, every minute of our lives, from the moment we're born, right, perhaps even to the moment we die, is all there on camera, all uploaded on Facebook, all there for the world to see. But I remember, well, even in my day, I mean, to get a piece of film, I mean, my dad did a lot of Super 8 movies and things like that, you know, I mean, really embarrassing stuff. But I mean, he did all these Super 8 movies, and we used to save up to get a film for Christmas. I remember they used to save to get a film. So film was precious. So it was still quite magical even in my day. But in 1860, I mean, people must have looked at that and thought it was magic.
There is a story behind all this, behind the ghost photographer, spirit photography. The friend of Mumler, the friend of the photographer that discovered this double exposure by mistake, asked him to sign the back of these pictures.
Okay.
And without telling him anything, they sent this picture out to Psychic magazine.
Oh, it'd be Psychic
And
News.
They thought
And Psychic World.
it was
and
a
Spirit.
real spirit picture.
Yeah.
So they started to publish them on their magazines.
Okay, without his permission.
Without his permission. He didn't know.
Okay.
He signed them. He did at the time there wasn't internet or communication.
So this would have been in the very early days of Psychic News when people like Conan Doyle were
It was
around,
exactly
I
at the same
think.
time when
Yeah.
Doyle was around
Yeah,
that this spirit photographer, ghost photography started to go around.
yeah.
Mumble, when he discovered about this picture being used in the Psychic magazine, got really angry because he knew that was just double exposure.
Yeah.
So people were just faking these things
Yeah.
just to get the attention.
Yeah, actually, Mumler was not a good guy, actually, because he ended up pretending to be a medium.
But there is a reason. Hold on. When he came back, he thought he came back to his place, to his studio. He thought he would find a bunch of people really angry at him. But actually, he found a lot of people that were interested in it, and they wanted to believe.
Oh, okay. So he saw
what
a
he
market.
done, he marketed it out.
Yeah.
He started to sell this double exposed picture for $10 instead of 25 pence.
Okay, because he
So
was
at the
in
time-
Boston, wasn't he? I think. Yeah.
It was in
Yeah.
Boston in the States.
Yeah.
It was a rich thing at the time.
Yeah.
And rich people wanted to believe that their deceased one, the deceased love, was there with them. So what he started to do was selling this double exposed picture.
I know one of the things they used to do is during the First World War, it's going a little bit further ahead, I think, but they used to put the dead son in wedding photographs and things like that. And
They used to do
the people that had died on the front were suddenly appearing in camera pictures of family groups and things like this.
The interesting thing is that the photographer, they wanted to fake all these ghost or spirit photography. They were finding the original picture from the deceased person and then using with the double exposure and games in the dark room to make the person appear in the picture. If you look at the magazine from the old times, the photography magazine from the old times, you will find that there were how-tos.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
to make this
I mean,
picture, how to take this.
and you can spot them. I mean, okay, we got Photoshop nowadays, which you can spot things by looking at the pixels if you look really close up. But in those days, the thing that I noticed with these so-called ghost pictures is that the ones, they have light coming from different directions. So everybody in the group's got the light coming from the right, but the soldier that's appeared on it's got the light from the left, you know. So, you know, you can see where the work's been done with that. Of course, a lot of people got really interested in this whole idea of spirit photography. I remember the famous spiritualist Stainton Moses and the scientist William Crookes. I mean, he got interested in it. And of course, Arthur Conan Doyle was really, well, actually, he had a bad time with spirit photography. Because do you know the story of the Cottingley fairies?
Yeah,
The
famous picture
Yeah.
that was all over the news at the time of these fairies in the forest, children playing
That's
with
right.
fairies.
Yeah. Oh, it's understandable that they were taken by it. I mean, these guys, photography, like I said, even then was still magical, even in Conan Doyle's day. And when he saw this picture of the young kids with these fairies, you know, he said, oh, yeah, elemental spirits and things like that, you know. For him, it was a huge breakthrough. Round about this area here, this is where the ghost hunters came in. I don't think you're supposed to come in here at night, but I know they came in here at night and they were getting some really interesting, weird stuff in this part of the building over there. So you never know, we might pick something up. love the way they made these buildings in the past. All absolutely last all this time, you know. This cheap modern housing doesn't have all this. You know, there's a certain eeriness about this place, even though I know it was kind of a palace, but you know, when you look at these old stones and things, I mean, they say, what stories could these walls tell you? And it is, because energy, I mean, just like the standing stones we went to saw in Stonehenge and in Wilton and that, where we went around Avebury Ring and things, they have an energy, and you can kind of feel the energy of a place. I'm not saying it's ghosts, but you can sense history, you know? You can get this feeling of going back in time in these places if you're sensitive to it. I mean, it's not just psychic people that have that. I mean, everybody, I think, has this connection with place. So this is the wall of the kitchen, isn't it? I think this is kitchen areas myself. I don't know for certain, but it feels like it to me. And so we could be the ghost, we can walk through the wall.
Imagine if ghosts are on a second level.
Cloister, I'm wrong, it's not the kitchen.
No, it's the cloister. Imagine if ghosts were basically, just because they are on a different vibration level, so they're just people living their normal life, but in the moment that the vibration connects with our world, we see this ghost passing through.
I mean, glimpses of the past we're getting.
We could be ghosts for them in the past.
Oh, right, yeah.
All the time in the universe.
We're leaving traces.
Past, present and future, they are all on the same exact moment. They are all living the exact moment.
Yeah.
Just they are different vibrations.
Yeah.
You know, like a guitar.
I know. There's a man called Dune that experimented with that idea in the past of talking about serial time, he called it. That time is also works on this idea that they're overlapped, that there's different times that overlap.
They're all overlapped, and they're all on different levels of vibration, like a guitar string that vibrates, and you cannot see it when it starts to vibrate too fast.
I mean, there's plenty of evidence for that in physics now, isn't there, really? The idea of multiple universes and multiple layers. Because everything's a vibration, isn't it, really?
But then imagine that those ghosts then are nothing else than people living their normal life every day. There are some ghosts that are going through walls. Then if you take the plan of the house, how it was originally, when that ghost should have been living time, the wall wasn't there was a door.
Yeah, that's often the case.
Just passing through a door.
Or there's been ones where there's been ghosts where they've been walking sort of with their knees under the ground, but that's where the original path was. The door was a foot up from where it was in the past.
So, and now imagine one thing. Imagine that this is doesn't only happen with the past ghosts showing up in our future, in our present.
Yeah.
But it's even us.
We are the ghosts of the future.
Showing us in the past.
Yeah.
Because even in the past they were talking about ghosts, and they were talking about ghosts they were wearing something weird. Something not normal for their time.
Yeah.
Imagine that these ghosts were us. So imagine all these, and now put it together in the place we are now. We are in a ruin of an ancient building.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Now imagine that we are walking through these walls, and at the same time there were people.
Perhaps they're getting glimpses of the future.
And perhaps they're seeing the ghosts now.
Perhaps they're seeing us. Yeah. And what is that strange thing they're carrying? Yes. We could be the demons of the future. They would be terrified of.
Walking through their walls and through their places.
Yeah. Yeah, so it talks about the basic history of the building, doesn't it? It doesn't tell us much. I like to know about the people that lived in these places, more than okay, this is the West Tower, okay, but who lived in the West Tower? Who was who lived and died here? Who fell in love here? Who had bad dreams here? Who lived out there? All the things of human life in these places, I still feel with these places, you can still feel as if I can hear the people running down these corridors that would have echoed in the past when the walls were flat and were restored, but before they fall into pieces, Different minds, different thoughts, different world completely, really. So that Cottingley Fairy picture to Doyle, for him, it was a way of proving that there is life after death. What a better way. Here is scientific proof. William Crookes, the great scientist, is saying this is real. Top spiritualists are saying this is real,
And at the time, it was really a huge thing. Everybody believed in it.
Yeah.
To be fair, when I saw it the first time, I was a child. I was like 10. I did believe in that picture. I
Did you?
It was real.
Yeah.
Then growing up,
Well, yeah, I mean, you only need to
studying these things.
You only need to look at it now. And if you look at the fairies close up, I mean, they're cutouts. You can see their paper cutouts stuck on sticks.
But it did work at the time.
Yeah.
It did.
Yeah.
It did work. It did make mystery.
Well, the thing is, that's what people were expecting to see. And that's the same problem we have today.
That's what the people wanted to believe.
Yes. And we get the same thing today, don't we? If you look at Most Haunted and you look at all those programs like that are on the television, it's what people expect to see. Paranormal states, it's what they expect to see.
There are a lot of spirit or ghost pictures that are sent out in the network today. On Facebook, for example, you can find a lot of groups that talk about it. The interesting thing is that a lot of people will say that it's a ghost picture over everything. A picture of themselves in a mirror or a reflection. They will think that they say it's a ghost. And if you tell them, no, look, that's a normal person.
No.
Or look, that is a lamppost.
Yeah.
They won't believe you. They will want to have the person tell, yes, that's a ghost and is following you.
The first assumption is that it's a ghost,
Yeah.
right? And I mean, when I ran a column for 10 years or more in one of the magazines, Fate and Fortune magazine, where people used to send their ghost pictures to me. And I mean, some of them were very hard to explain, because often you look at them and think, oh no, people are just seeing into this,
I remember you sent me actually one of the pictures a couple of years ago that was taken in a pub, and the person was sure 100% that was a ghost behind their friend.
Yeah.
And it was nothing else than a person walking behind. And because the camera kept the aperture for too long,
That's right.
That was the effect of movement behind that.
Well, I started to learn quite a lot about photography when I got that, because the editor, I think, wanted me to say that every picture was a ghost, because it's much better for the readers. And I said, no, I'm not going to do that.
For the reader, but on the other side, you might tell a lie, and that's
I'm not going to do it. It's pointless. Otherwise, you're undermining your work.
We need to admit, I need to admit that there are some pictures that are unexplained still. There is a famous picture of a building on fire, and there is the figure of a child.
Yeah.
On the window.
I know the
child should have been a child that died years ago.
Yeah.
In another fire in the same building.
Yeah.
That wasn't a double exposure because the camera didn't take a picture of that.
Yeah,
child.
I've had all sorts of strange pictures like that, where parts of the body are missing of somebody walking by, where the base of the feet are there or not the head and things like that.
And there are other places where, like, with the photography, it's not explainable. You can't tell it it's a long exposure picture, that's why you got the movement in, or it's just dust, or it's an insect.
Yeah.
Because today, you see, there are cameras all around the world. We are using a camera now.
Yeah, but phones are the main thing that people get the pictures on. And I think what people forget is that phones have a very short focal length. That means that the focus comes really close.
It's not really about the focal length of the camera.
It means you dust right in front of the lens,
but
isn't
that's
it?
the thing. Even the camera that we're using at the moment has a lens, and in front of the lens there is a glass.
Yeah, the camera
curved
glass. Yeah.
That is protecting the lens itself.
Yeah.
From multiple lenses inside the main lens. Multiple glasses inside the main lens. And you got this glass in front of it that is protecting it, and it's giving that bit of curvature effect. There could be a little bit of dust on it.
Exactly, and that's what creates the orbs.
You won't see at the beginning, you won't see when you're shooting, but it's enough that there is a small light coming from a specific angle, and that will make it appear.
Yeah.
Like scratches on the lens.
Yeah. Well, there's dust, you say. You get dust, but you also get moisture. And like if you take a camera out of a warm pocket on a cold day, it will often get fog across it, which will appear like ghostly images and make faces distort and all sorts of strange things.
There is even cigarette smoke.
Cigarette smoke.
Heat smoke.
Yeah, lots of those.
That's another thing, heat smoke. Basically, some camera is able to capture, depending on the time of the aperture, some heat smoke.
Yeah.
So some waveform.
Yeah.
It's just nothing else than heat.
And some of the early cameras, some of the early mobile phones and early digital cameras used to get problems with the diodes, I believe. There was something that used to make it misfire. So people used to say, this camera is fantastic for capturing ghosts. The reason it's fantastic is because it's broken.
That was the thing. But it's even true that there is a massive difference between the film photography and the digital photography that we're having today.
Yeah.
In the old time, film photography, it was a chemical reaction against the film. So when the camera was opening to take the shot, the light was sent to the film, and a chemical reaction imprinted that light on the film. So any type of energy that was on the other side of the camera, in front of the camera, could have been captured in that chemical reaction.
Yeah. So it's actually better, it's more likely to be real, isn't it?
More likely to be real.
Yeah, because there's less things to go wrong.
On a digital camera, on modern cameras, modern phones, it's a digital sensor. The digital sensor, yes, it takes the light and interpret what the light should be. It's
but
a
lot of ghost
our faces, the colors,
Yeah.
and then through software, it translates what the sensor sees and put it into a file. So there is technology behind that can be easily faked.
Yeah, and the same thing applies with the old style photographic paper type of photographs, because for example during the development, if you get a little bit crystal of the development fluid that's not dissolved and you put the two papers together, the crystal between the two bits of paper creates orbs or light seepage into the camera, or the camera strap dangling in front of the camera will create all sorts of strange vortexes.
I remember when I was a child, my father with an old Pentax K camera, he asked me, do you want to see a ghost? And he started to take pictures of it with it.
Yeah.
But what he was doing, for example, when he was taking the picture, he was having a cigarette in his other hand.
Okay, so there you go.
The cigarette was going in front of the
I know on some of these television programs, because I've met some of the cameramen on some of these so-called haunted television programs, and they said, these mediums that do this, these haunted houses, they're faking it up. He said, well, I said, how do they do it then? What are they doing? He said, well, they'll spray aerosol around the camera as we're filming, or we know that under low light, these cameras will create sort of orb effects because the cameras can't cope with the low light levels. So we set it so it can't cope.
There are cameras that are made like these.
Fakes.
And orbs, most of the time, is just dust. When people are walking, dust is lifted up.
Or water moisture.
Water moisture and all these things. I would say that 80%, 85% this ghost spirit photography could be dust.
Most of it can be explained. I found it very hard to find that. But I tell you what,
when you find the one that you cannot explain,
that's when it gets interesting.
And the one that you try and you're like, okay, it's been taken with a digital camera. Let's put it on Photoshop.
Yeah.
Let's analyze every single pixel of this image.
That's
because,
right.
You know, in the modern camera, it's enough to see a pixel different.
That's how they spot fake photography of Bin Laden and things. They look close up to see if it's been matted in, because you can, on really high magnification, get right down to the single little squares of the pixel. You come right into it. You can spot where things, even though to the eye would not spot it, you can spot it at pixel level.
Plus, there are a lot of software that can help you understand when something has been put in post-production on the picture.
That's right.
Or that has been
and on video post-production as well.
Video post-production. But when you find, as I said, when you find the one that is there and you cannot explain, and you tried absolutely everything, that's when things get interesting. And that's when I'm more with the idea of, I want to go where the picture was taken, and I want to see.
And who knows what you're going to get.
Especially because when you go with a skeptical mind, like, I know ghost photography, 85-90% is fake, but I know how it works. I know how I could take a possible. I could have one possibility out of a million, but I have one possibility of taking.
That's when it gets interesting.
Then I will take all the possible gear I can with me, and I will even spend some money to buy some more detailed and specific gear just to go to the place and take that shot. And spend the entire night or the entire day there just taking pictures.
It's absolutely critical that people take that attitude to the photographs. Don't immediately assume that it's a ghost picture because it's got something strange on there, because most of it can be explained.
I do believe that for everything, the skeptical approach is the best way, because you start with the idea of, I want to know if it's real.
You've got to be critical with mediumship too.
That's not real. You start with the idea of, let me see, and you start to eliminate all the possibilities that will show that it's not real. I know that a lot of people want to believe. I know that a lot of people have to believe to go on in their life. A lot of people, for example, in the old times, do you remember the post-mortem photography?
Yes, some of those photographs are a whole strange world. And some of the pictures are so weird.
People didn't have a real picture of the deceased one. So they wanted to take a last memory, and pictures were pretty expensive at the time. You say 25 pence for a picture, we were saying before. I think 25 pence is nothing today, but at the time...
like 2 and 6, that would be.
250 pounds for a picture, $250 for a picture. Not everybody could afford that. That post-mortem photography, it's another interesting thing. I've studied them.
They're fantastic. There's some very interesting collections of them.
And at the time, imagine a person that didn't have the money to take normal picture of his deceased one, and a photographer was coming and was saying, I can take a picture of you with your deceased one, with the ghost of your deceased one. People were going mad.
Yeah.
Oh yes, because that was the grief, that was the moment they were sad about, and they wanted to have something to remember.
Yeah.
They wanted to know that there was something on the other side and that their loved ones was next to them.
The dying to believe type of thing. But I also, sometimes some of these things, even orbs, which I kind of know that orbs are camera caused, but sometimes they appear at extraordinarily strange times, and strange photographs happen at almost like a synchronicity for some people. So at times like a birth, times like a marriage, times like a funeral, very poignant times, a moment someone's just died, they get these strange photo phenomena. That might be explainable, but what's not explainable is why it should happen at such an opportune time. So I think there's some significance you have to give to that.
There are some, as I said, there is something that cannot be explained easily with the skeptic approach. There are things that are unexplainable. There are things that, it could be just a casualty. Like when a person dies and the body is off, it releases some gases. So you might explain.
I release them all the time, even before I die.
Like, for example, the blue fires in cemeteries. In Italian is fuochi fatui.
Yeah. St. Elmo's fire type of thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Some people says those are ghosts in the cemeteries.
Yeah.
The scientist says, no, those are the gases from the bodies that are in the air and they catch fire.
Yeah.
And they start to fly around.
Is that the cause of St. Elmo's fire?
Yeah.
And you also get it in peatland and things like that too, where spontaneous gas ignites. And fireflies. I've had people send me one photograph I could not explain. I thought that must be spirit lights, because we call spirit lights, that's the real name for orbs. Everybody can see them at the same time, like in a circle.
I didn't know about it.
Oh yeah, spirit lights are fascinating. And I thought these were spirit lights. They were actually they were fireflies, it worked out in the end. But no, I've been in circles where we've sat and we've all seen lights in the room at the same time, in the same place, moving around. Now, this isn't being seen by clairvoyant vision. This is being seen with our eyes. Now, there's optical effects that can create light, yes. There's like retinal firing and things like that. But when everybody sees it at the same time, that makes me think.
I will need to see then to discuss.
Yeah, well, you're going to have to sit in a circle with me. And we need to get the circle and maybe get an infrared camera in a darkened circle would be a good thing to do.
So if you want to support us with the Patreon.
Yeah, so we do need some help. We need a patron. So we can get all this gear and we can invite members of the public like you guys out there can come and sit with us and be our victims.
Well, for the victims, if you become a Patreon for the channel, you will support the channel, and in exchange you will be invited to ghost hunting nights.
Yeah, and to the circle, because we are setting up a circle where people can come to visit, and we'll do something online so people overseas can get linked into it. And of course, if you've got photos. If
you got photos of ghosts that you think there is a ghost in there, you can send it to us and we can review them.
Yeah, we'll review them. If you become a patron now, we will do that, and we'll review the photographs. All questions. So they get priority over questions. If you're a patron, you can email them to me.
Plus, you were talking about starting again your psychic education.
Yes, we're going to do some online teaching. So that will be tied in with the patron with special videos just about psychic development and this type of thing.
That's another interesting thing. So...
And if I ever offer a book for free, that will be on there as well. So there'll be lots of benefits. I mean, these are all to be decided as time goes on, but we'll be constantly giving patrons priority.
Patrons will become the highest fun, the biggest fun.
Is it patrons or Patreons?
Patreon. Well,
okay. It's all new to me. It was all new to me, these YouTube ideas. How does a Patreon work? They subscribe to the YouTube.
The person subscribes to this Patreon on your Patreon page.
Yeah.
It's not YouTube. This Patreon is connected but separated.
Okay, so it's not.
They will pay an amount of money that you decide.
Yeah.
So the amount of money doesn't have to be a really high amount.
Oh, it'll only be a small
amount.
Yeah.
That they have to pay.
Okay.
But registering, they are helping the channel.
Yeah. So we'll make it live on this video. We'll make that a part of this.
They're helping us making new videos. They're helping us buying
new
gear. They're helping
us
going around all the trips. Actually, we are even thinking of making the psychic family trip. A series in which Craig and Tom's family will go around together in a camper van around the UK.
And go places like this, where we are today, and other places, but we're investigating with the grandchildren as well.
My children, his grandchildren will be with us.
Yeah.
And will be a mix of a family trip together to interesting and mystical places.
Yeah, and some ideas, and of course all the banter like people see on the videos of me and Jane in Spain.
Yeah.
Except it'll be on steroids with all of us, won't it?
Yeah, especially with the kids. That's gonna be fun. But you will even see the touristic side of the place, not only the mystical one, and we will even help you.
So become a patron. We might even better go to America with it if you do. If you
Yeah,
enough of
if you
you
help us,
subscribe. So that was fate. I enjoyed that place.
That's nice.
So don't forget, if you enjoyed this, you can send us your ghost photographs, subscribe to this channel and click that little bell thing. And I've written a number of books about spirits and ghost photography as well. And you'll see them coming up on the screen. And the Patreon thing.
We will let you know about the Patreon once we will edit this video. We'll put all the information in the description down below. And
any links to the books down below as well.
And then we'll make a short video on how the Patreon work and how the public can help us.
Okay, yeah, I'll put that on my website.
Yes, exactly. Thank you very much, everybody.
See you soon. Bye for now.
Bye.